Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor Masterclass. This is a platform where we learn from the best. These individuals are trailblazers and change makers whose leadership and entrepreneurship has lessons of inspiration and encouragement. We will learn from their journeys of success and failure. The Institute of Chartered Accountants is celebrating its centenary, and we will be talking to a select group from this organization whose journeys embody the ethos of the profession. Joining us today is Gloria Zvaravanhu, the former Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Chartered Accountants and currently the Managing Director of Old Mutual Insurance Company. Enjoy this masterclass.
Hi, my name is Gloria Zvaravanhu, and this is my masterclass. So ICAS is celebrating 100 years, or has celebrated 100 years in the last 3 years, and we're still in that celebratory mode, because what 100 years means to us is longevity, sustainability of the brand, sustainability of the quality. So we've gone through so many phases of life, so many things, and the brand stood, and the brand has grown from being just a local brand to being a global brand. So we celebrate as chartered accountants that we've been able to maintain, sustain, we've been able to actually improve on the quality of the brand CAZ over a 100-year period. So the one thing that ICAS celebrates the most and values the most is integrity. We say integrity always. That is our motto. We say integrity always. Our building is in the integrity house. This blazer that I'm wearing is the integrity blazer. So we pride ourselves of being people of integrity. So we are truthful, we are faithful, we are honest in our dealings, we are fair. Everything that comes and encompasses integrity is what represents this brand. And my belief is that that is what has kept us this long, because members, we have been adhering to the values, the core value, which is integrity. So for me to join this very prestigious profession, I was looking for money. I was looking for a profession that is rewarding. And from my own study and research at that young age, I realized that being a chartered accountant was certainly going to reward me. So I embarked on an accountant degree, and I was fortunate enough to be selected by 3 of the top 4 firms here in Zimbabwe gave me contracts while I was still in university, and I'd choose one, and that was ultimately KPMG. But it was money, it was driven by money, and it has not let me down. My journey and who I've been, and when I look at what the profession has done and its education and its training, what I can say is that its strongest asset is the training part of it. So I don't think it's the examinations. I think people can sit for examinations, they can pass, they can take 20 years and they can still pass the exam. But I think what sets us apart as chartered accountants is the training that we got. The training that we got, that when we're young, we go into organizations, we are auditing, we are looking through controls, we are interacting with the top management. There is this power of association that comes with you being a young person and interacting with the top management. You know that one day you're going to be there. So I think the training, it taught us to be, hardworking. There was a lot of deadlines, a lot of commitments to deadlines, a lot of hard work, resilience as well, and a lot of teamwork, because for you to be able to meet those deadlines, you had to work with a team and you had to understand the business. So the training itself helped us to be very broad, because you would move from one customer who's a manufacturer to one customer who's a banker to another who's something else. And the first thing that you do is you understand their business before you can audit them. So it broadens. It broadens one scope in a very big way. And I think that's one of the biggest strengths and assets of the CAZ brand. So our training is very rigorous. And for one to succeed, obviously one needs to be absolutely committed to what they're doing. So what it means is that for that part of your life, you're going to be out of balance for a while. There's certain things that are going to have to suffer. So if you're married, there's certain things that are going to suffer at home because you have to be fully committed to the examinations. You have to be fully committed to the training because it takes a lot of your time. So for success, one has to understand that one must prioritize it for that period of time, and one needs support. One needs to be able to lean on certain people to assist them with certain things that they're not able to do at that particular time. And then one needs mentors in the system, people who have walked the journey, people who have done the same thing that you are aspiring, to be a chartered accountant already, and you understand the journey and be able to copy and move in the path that they move so that you don't create a new path. Because creating a new path means that you would also make mistakes. It also draw you back. So mentorship, sponsorship, someone who is within the system that is talking about you when you're not there, those are some of the key success factors of being able to actually go through this rigorous process and come out as a success. So I took on additional education after qualifying as a CA. I embarked on an MBL. I also did an LLM in international business law. People ask me why I did that. So for me, and what most CAs see is that our CAZ is a foundational qualification. We are meant to be business leaders. We are not bean counters. We are not just your typical accountant who's going to be in the back office, in the finance. We are going to be out there leading. So if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to broaden your knowledge. You're going to have to broaden your skills set. So I embarked on this. I had to invest in leadership training. I have to invest in international business law because I knew I was going to be involved in corporates and companies. It's a global world. You're going to be involved in international contracts. You're going to engage people from other countries. You want to be able to know the language, the legal, the business language to interact with these people. So my view, and my personal view, is that I'm CAZ, but that was just my foundation. Everything else that I had to do was for me to be a leader, and that's who I am, a leader. CAZ is just foundational for me. For one to be a well-rounded accountant and to really enhance your CAZ brand, one needs to be able, obviously, to do the leadership that I spoke about earlier. But what is critical is to invest in some soft skills. So when I was at ICAS, when I was the CEO, I introduced what we call the CA Leadership Masterclass. This masterclass now talks to things like your emotional intelligence, your leadership traits. It talks about communication. It talks about networking. It talks about some of those attributes that you wouldn't find in your technical syllabus of being a CAZ. And I believe that is what sets a CA and a leader apart. So a typical CA who doesn't invest into those things will possibly be a bean counter or just an accountant or be in the back office. But one who actually steps out and then learns those other skills will then become the leaders. And I want to believe that I left a legacy in introducing the masterclass because I know that the breed of CAs that are going to come out now are going to be certainly set apart because they're going to be able to conquer and be able to interact with other people and lead in the manner that we expect a CAZ to lead. So I was the second female president of the Institute in its 100 years. And I was also its first female CEO. And for me, what that says is that this brand, which we are celebrating, embraced gender, embraced diversity in its fullest form. This is a brand that has grown and is sustained because it has benefited from having a diverse breadth of members and leadership. So being the second female president, obviously someone had gone before me, they had broken the glass ceiling, it was easier for me to get in. Being the first CEO was equally as easy because the firm or the organization was very embracing of female leaders already. I had been a president before. And I'll tell you this, that when I was actually hired to be the CEO, I was actually 8 months pregnant. I mention this because I want to show you that the organization embraces diversity to its fullness. I mean, how many people would hire a person who is 8 months pregnant? In a month, they're going on maternity leave. That just shows that they embrace that life happens and that for women, there are certain things that they have to go through, but it doesn't take away their abilities. It doesn't take away their capabilities, that they're still going to be able to come back and deliver on what they're supposed to deliver on. So I think the key messaging in my being a president, in my being a CEO, being a female, is the fact that this institute, which has been in existence for 100 years, is fully embraced diversity, has fully embraced gender issues.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Zimbabwe, ICAZ, presents the membership card benefits. This membership card can also be presented and used to access certain privileges and discounts with selected providers as follows. As an ICAZ member, you may access your digital membership card on the My ICAZ app, which is freely available on App Store and Google Play Store. Arrangements to collect the physical card can be made with the ICAZ offices and with chapter representatives for those outside Zimbabwe. Your institute will continuously seek ways to improve preferential services linked to the card. Those wishing to offer their services can contact the following details.
What it takes to be a young, successful female accountant is no different from what it takes to be any leader of any form and shape. All that is needed, and we know it needs commitments, it needs investment in yourself, it needs discipline. Leaders have certain attributes that they need to have, whether they're female, whether they're male, whether they're young, whether they're old. And I think one needs to be able to study those skills and be able to harness them within themselves. So as far as maybe talking to the gender issue, I think what I would say to the young females is that, one, you must believe in yourself. You have what it takes. You have what it takes. If you sat for that exam next to a male counterpart and you passed, it means you have what it takes. All now what you need to do is go out there and prove it. Go out there and be your best. If you're operating at your best, there is no way that you cannot succeed. For as long as you are sowing something, you're going to have to reap it. It might not be tomorrow. For some, their journeys take longer. For some, their journeys are fast-tracked. Like my journey was very fast-tracked because I went into leadership at a very young age. But for others, it takes longer. But I think what it needs is someone to just believe in themselves and know that they have what it takes and use whatever resources are at their disposal, investing in themselves, investing in their network, and just ensuring that they have the best they can to be the best they can be. Networks are so important. We are humans, so we are relational in nature. So whenever we do business, people always have a preference to do business with people they know. So a network is that important. So you cannot expect that you pass someone by the street, you don't greet them, the next thing you meet them in a boardroom and you're asking for their business and they will hand it to you. They will not. They will hand it to that person who talks to them, who has checked on them, who has checked on their wellness, who continuously checks on how they're doing, because it's all about relations. We are human. We are not robots. So networks are so very important in getting you ahead in terms of your work. You get business. You also get referrals. But I think what is also important, which a lot of people miss, is that you have also, as a leader, to be a people connector. you also have to play your part. So it's not about getting, what do I get from my network? What are you giving to your network as well? Are you connecting the one person to the next person and to the next person and creating a web of connected people that can help each other in reaching their various objectives? So when I was president of the Institute, there are 3 key things that I introduced or that I spearheaded. One of them is this beautiful blazer that I'm wearing. One might say, oh, what is it about a blazer? But for me, I think I wanted the members to be proud of the brand they are associated with, to be able to wear it with pride and know that when you're wearing this blazer, there is something that has gone behind the blazer in the form of work, and you represent certain values. You represent integrity. So you cannot be caught in this blazer and doing funny things. So when you're wearing this blazer, you are carrying the Institute's values system and the Institute's principles on your shoulders. So that's why we call it the integrity blazer. And the younger CAs are calling it this bachi. So hashtag this bachi. This bachi, if you wear it, you have, they almost saying you have toiled for it. There's been sweat and blood that went into it, because no one who's not a CA can wear this blazer. Only a member of the Institute can wear this blazer. So there is that pride that comes with it. And I personally am very proud of this blazer. The second thing that we did in my time as a president is we introduced a card, a membership card that allows members to access certain services at privileged at discounts, at preferential rates. What we wanted to do was to use our network to be able to get our members certain benefits that they will enjoy, benefits that are part of their lifestyle, whether it's gym, whether it's going to buy books, whether airport lounges, the things that we know are part of the lifestyle of our members, and we allow them to enjoy them at preferential rates. That's what people do in a network, isn't it? If you're a big network, you use your network to your advantage, and you give the numbers to the supplier, but at the same time you also get to benefit. And then the one very important and close to my heart initiative that I introduced was the Women Chartered Accountants Network. Now this initiative came to me when I was chosen to be a Fortune 500 mentee on the Fortune 500 Women Global Mentorship Program. Now, this is a prestigious program that one wants to get onto. And I want to believe in Zimbabwe, only about 7 or 8 women have been on this program. I was privileged to be part of that. And one of the things that the Americans are very good at is they say to you, if we've invested in you, what are you also going to do forward? They are very big on giving back. So when they give of their time, they want you to also go back and give. And so I was challenged to say, what am I going to go and do back in my own country? And so at the time that I became president, I thought, we don't have anything that brings the female chartered accountants together, that promotes them, that profiles them, that develops them, that makes sure that we get the numbers that we want. At that time, I think the numbers were like 15% of the membership being female. And so there was an opportunity to try and, match the demographics of this country, which is over 51% female. So we started the Women Chartered Accountants Network as a committee of the Institute. And I was so encouraged by the support that I got from my fellow council members to support these initiatives. The firms, they supported the initiative, and now it has grown. We've got chapters in South Africa, we've got chapter in Botswana, in Australia, in the UK, everywhere where the female chartered accountants are. And all they're doing is to find activities that promote the female chartered accountant, that profile the female chartered accountant. We've seen more positions, big positions being taken by female chartered accountants. We've also seen them taking up board seats in places that they'd never been females before. So this network has worked. Even the demographics of the council itself, before we can, I think probably there was only representation less than 15%. Now we're talking of 50% or so. It also culminated in the AGM, in the members actually saying we want to make sure that our council is no less than 40% representation. So we actually got weekend seats on the council. So I'm so very proud of it. I was the inaugural chairman, but now I'm no longer chairman. I'm no longer involved in it. But I think what I'm most proud about is the fact that it's able to go on. Because sometimes when you initiate something, you want to make sure that you move away from it and it goes. And the people that have taken it over, oh, they are doing much, much more than I ever envisaged. So this is one of the things that I'm most proud of in my tenure as president of the Institute. When I became CEO of the Institute, I came into the office when there was a project to try and make sure that we also have chartered or professionals in the public sector, chartered accountants or accountants who are professionals in the public sector. And ICAS had been chosen by the International Federation of Accountants and also by the Public Accountants and Auditors Board to be a pilot professional accounting organization that helps professionalize the public sector. So I was very fortunate to come in at such a time that we were able to then run with making sure that we professionalize the accountants that are working in the public sector. So we introduced the summer school that we dub it now the public sector convention that happens annually. It's similar to our winter school, but it talks to issues that affect the professionals that are in the public sector. We also introduced International Public Sector Accounting Standards training course, because our government of Zimbabwe is one of the few governments in the world that have pledged to adopt international public sector accounting standards. So we help them. So we came up with a course that is helping them to prepare for that. I think they must be dry running this year in terms of IPSAS. And all it means is that IPSAS is simply accrual accounting. In the past, our government was cash accounting. So they would only account for that which they've paid or received. But in accounting, if you owe, you must account for it on your balance sheet. If you owed, you must account for it in your balance sheet. So that accruals accounting is what IPSAS is all about. And we helped them to do that. So there's often a question that is asked, what is the difference between a CA that is in the public sector and a CA that is in the private sector? No difference at all. It's simply their channels and their avenues. But what we observed was that not many of our CAs were in the public sector. It could be the training, that most of our training, when we train, we go and we are working in the private sector, and naturally people find a home there. So we were trying to then come up with a stream where we have training offices in the public sector that are training within there, and we actually have a public sector professional who is a member of the institute but working in the public sector. In my tenure as the CEO, we had already done a program for the first 10, I think, senior members, senior accountants in the public sector, so that they become the first public sector professionals. I think it's something that will be coming up very soon from ICAS. So that is the distinction really. It's the training. One is training, but mainly in the private sector, and another is training mainly in the public sector.
The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Zimbabwe, ICAS, has upgraded its systems, and ICAS resident and or non-resident members who are also members of another similar institution are no longer requested to submit their declaration form when declaring their CPD hours at the end of each year, but are now requested to fill and submit their declaration online using the ICAS website as follows. Visit www.icas.org.zw. Sign in with your username and password. Click on your name as a way to refresh the account. Click on CPDs. Scroll down until you see where it says Declaration Form and click the plus sign on the far right. Fill in the form, click Save and Close. For any queries or inquiries of this notification, you can contact cpd@icas.org.zw.
My leadership principles and habits. First of all, I like to create a team. I like to create a team, a right team around me, and I want to make sure that they have the right skills, and I want to make sure that I develop them enough to be able to do the work. I am not one of those leaders that like micromanaging. So because I don't like micromanaging, I am very big. I like delegating. I like people to be empowered, because I think if someone is empowered, they do their best. So I always want to surround myself with people, the best people, people who know. I know some leaders are very reluctant to have good teams and good people around them. And usually the reason is they are not, you know, they are not confident of themselves. They think that, look, if you have people around you that are so good that they will come one day and they will take over from you. I'm not worried about that. I'm very confident about myself. And if I'm being pushed out because there are people who are good, then I'm being pushed to a higher level, and I'm quite comfortable with that. I was once told by someone that once you go into a role as a leader, the first thing you must do is to prepare to live there. So when you're preparing to leave, it means you're preparing a successor, you're preparing a team. And I think you can see just from where I've left at ICAS, I prepared a team. They were ready to run, they were ready to take over. And I think that is the first calling of leadership. So for me, that is my principle around leadership. But of course, commitment, respect, humility, because humility, what it does for you is, even though you have power and influence, you are able to tame that power and influence and be able to respect another person's opinion, and be able to hear another person's view, and be able to accommodate other people's ideas. So myself, I invest a lot in my mental wellness, in my physical wellness, in my spiritual wellness. I have routines. I believe that every single person or leader, for that matter, should have habits that they do that make them invest into their mind, into their body, and into their soul. So as far as my body is concerned, I take care of it. I gym. I remain active just to make sure that I'm healthy. I eat well. For my mind, I meditate. I read. I want to make sure that I always have this mindfulness, this consciousness of the things that are around me and the forces that are causing whatever is causing things that are happening around me. And you get that through things like meditation, through things like reading, through things like watching people talk around matters of mindfulness. And of course, on the spiritual part, I'm a very spiritual person. I connect to God very unapologetically about that. That is my source. That is who I am. And I always say Matthew 5 verse 16 is my verse. I was called to shine for his glory, and that's what I do. And so I connect to my source as often as I can, and on a daily basis I invest in my mind, in my body, and in my soul. If you are a leader, you must make sure that you react in a manner that is progressive. So failure in itself is a painful thing, because you want to move a step forward and sometimes you're pushed back. But what is important in failure is what you do when it happens. I read a lot around what the Stoics did and believed in. One of the things they believed in is negative visualization. It's not being pessimistic, but what they said is they looked at life and they say, what is the worst that can happen to me? And if I know the worst that can happen to me, I must be able to prepare for it. So if I know that death is inevitable, I must prepare for it. If I know that I can actually fail in an exam or in a certain thing, I must prepare for it. How do I move out of it? And so that negative visualization helps you, because if something bad happens to you, if a failure happens, you are prepared to pick yourself up because you have a solution to get out of it. So you should not go through life as if there are no challenges. There will always be challenges. There will always be failures. But I think this Stoic principle of negative visualization has really helped me a great deal. So as a chartered accountant, naturally chartered accountants are numbers people. Most of us don't really like reading. Personally, I had to drill this habit within myself to say I have to be a reader, because a leader is a reader. A leader is one who has a wide breadth of knowledge about various subject matters, because they're going to meet them in their leadership journey. And so I was fortunate enough to find someone along the way of my career who mentored me into reading books. And I've read books that are really transformational. And I know that, you know, I would be forced into saying quite a number of the books that have made an impact on me. And I'm on record for saying that I enjoy The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, Robin Sharma. I follow his books, The Greatness Guide. I've also followed Stephen Covey. I like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I also follow John Maxwell's books a lot. So there's a lot. When it comes to books, I tell you, I can spend a whole afternoon talking about books because this is what I do. And today, I'm going to talk about the centenary book as well, because this book is more than just an account of ICA's 100-year history. There's a lot of leadership lessons in there. There's a lot that people can learn about how do you sustain a brand. There's a lot that you can learn about how do you keep the quality of a qualification over a long period of time. There's a lot that talks about how do you sail the tides in the different things that were happening within the country, the lows and the highs, and you still maintain a brand. And how do you embrace diversity to the benefit of your organization? So this centenary book carries all that. So it's not even a book that should be read by just accountants. Anyone who's interested in having a brand that is sustainable, that maintains its quality, that grows in terms of its global relevance, then one must be able to get a hold of this centenary book and read it. It's not just for accountant. A lawyer can pick it, and an engineer can pick it. Whichever profession can pick it, and those lessons are very emphasized in the history of how the accountant and the CAZ brand evolved. So a lot of things have been said about CAs and their presence in leadership positions, managing directors, CEOs, sitting on boards, chairing boards, and so on. And a lot of questions have been asked as to why accountants are so prominent in these places. And my simple answer is this, that I think the CAZ brand is so full of diversity in the manner in which we are wired. In the training in itself brings a lot, and it helps you get a lot of information from different sectors. So when you then go and serve on a board, if you go and serve on a board of a bank, or you go and serve on a board of a manufacturing company, chances are, as part of your training, you've actually interacted with a manufacturing company or a bank. So you have knowledge of the systems, knowledge of the business. So when you now come on the board, you have got an idea of how the business is run, and then you are able to contribute as far as improving. Usually accountants, they are natural committees, the audit committee, so you are able to contribute in terms of reporting, internal controls, risk management, governance, all those things. But it's coming from a place where we were taught these things as part of the training. As young as 22, you're in a boardroom. You're already interacting with directors. So the value that you bring to the board is tremendous, because it's familiar territory, except you're now sitting on the other side. You were once an auditor. You were being faced with questions around the business. You were also trying to assess whether the business is being run well. Now you're on the other side and you're running the business. Say there is an executive director or non-executive. So it's a very easy switch. So what it does for the businesses that you'll be serving is that they get a lot of value from you, because you understand a lot about controls, about governance, about leadership, about just risk management within the various businesses. And what it does for the CAZ brand is that we are able to be omnipresent, if I can put it this way. We can be in many spaces. So we don't have to be stuck in the accounting department. We can be in so many places that actually makes the brand even more vibrant, that makes the brand even more visible, even more present, even stronger. And so that's why, so the benefits to the CAZ brand is exactly that, influence. We are in positions of influence because we have something to bring to the table. So my leadership mantra is just do it. I've been known to just say, just do it. And I think most of you know whose payoff line this is. I'm not going to say who it is, but I've respected this payoff line, just do it. Because a lot of times we procrastinate. We think about great ideas. Like for me, I can wake up at 3 a.m. and come up with great ideas, write them down. When it comes to dawn, I'm scared. I don't have the courage to do it. So I've said to myself, just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You're not going to die. So the worst that can happen is you fail. You're going to fail at that endeavor. But failure is not an end. Failure is part of the process. You pick yourself up and you go. So just do it. Whatever it is that you're thinking about, just do it. Whatever it is that is on your mind, just do it. And just get your team to do it. The worst that can happen is failure. And you can pick yourself up. So I've got many role models. Many role models. Why? Because I'm very widely read. So my role models are not necessarily people that I've interacted with physically. My role models are people that have impacted into my life, whether through reading. And I've already mentioned John Maxwell. He's a role model to me because he has carved me into the leader that I am because I follow his books. Robin Sharma, he's helped me with my mindfulness, with investing in myself, my body, my mind, my soul, with his teachings, with his greatness guides. Those people are role models. Martin Luther, he's a role model because the things that he has said, the ceilings that he broke as a black man, and the sayings that we hear, that we continue to reflect on even as leaders today. Those are legacy role models. And then of course I've got role models, leaders that I've worked with that have contributed into who I am. I'm on record for mentioning their names. I'm not even going to go back into that, but I've got amazing support system of role models and mentors and sponsors around me that supports me in my career.
Thank you for watching and listening to this masterclass with Gloria Zvaravanhu, the Managing Director of Old Mutual Insurance Company. I hope you learned one or two things from there. I had a number of key takeaways, the most important of them being her leadership mantra, just do it, the importance of surrounding yourself with people that are better than you, and realizing that failure is never fatal. It's an opportunity to learn. Thank you for watching again. Remember to subscribe to In Conversation with Trevor Masterclass. Please like, share, subscribe. Until next time, cheers to you all.